Hello. Hi, I'm Andy. Today we're gonna go over Laravel tricks. It's a old Titan project that needs some love. It was originally made by Stygius and Max Sergey in November of 2013. It was taken over by Titan about 7-ish years ago. And as like people from Titan have come and gone, like it hasn't really been updated or maintained. But recently, Matt, when Laravel 11 came out, was like, what are we gonna do with this? And I was like, I want it. I will take it over. I'm gonna rebuild it from the ground up while using the existing like code base as a reference, and we're going to rebuild it with Laravel 11. We're going to keep it base stock Laravel. We're not going to use inertia. We're not going to use Vue. And as much as it pains me to say, we're not going to use Livewire until there is a need for it. I think we kind of get hyped up by these new tools and things, and we forget how awesome Laravel is just at its core. And so we can actually get really far with just Blade. So yeah. We're going to start by cloning the new repo. Keith Damiani made a new repo for us, and we're going to start there. So I'm going to copy the SSH to my clipboard, and let's go to warp and clear this out, and let's do git clone Laravel tricks. Now we have a Laravel tricks repo. Wow, I can't type. Thank you, warp. And let's just do Laravel new. Hi, Mary. Hey, Guillermo. Dot to make a Laravel new in this application. Let's do Laravel Breeze for a starter kit. Blade with Alpine. Yes, I want dark mode support. Why is that a question? Past PHP unit. I'm more comfortable in PHP unit because I've used it longer, but let's be spicy and use pest. Would you like to initialize a Git repository? No, because we already have one and the repo already exists. Damn. So, okie doke. Let's go up. Let's remove the Laravel tricks repo, and let's try that again. Laravel tricks, Breeze, Blade, yes, pest, still no. Okay, there we go. Wow, that's going. This stream, let's use SQLite until we have a reason not to. For the next hour or so, I just want to get up and running. Hello, Santiago. I just want to get up and running and look at the old repo and see what's kind of going on there, and go from there. So let's do cd Laravel tricks code dot to open it in VS Code. And now we have a Laravel app. It's Laravel 11, and everybody's been talking about how different the app structure is, and it doesn't look all that different to me. This is the first time I've used Laravel 11. I guess the config is smaller. The app Bootstrap is bigger and different. But nothing all too different or exciting. So let's do npm run dev, and let's open this in the browser. Yes, I trust it. Laravel tricks cannot be... Oh, well, that's fun. It added a space. You're using 8.0. Okay, let's fix that. Herd. Yeah. Let's do herd use 8.3. I think I can do that. Cool. So now if I go back to the browser, will it work? Of course not. I'm running 8.0. Why am I running 8.0? Come on, bartender, help me out here. Where are all my things? Come on. Bartender settings. Let's go to herd, drag you up front so I can see you. Or not. Why can't I see you? This is really annoying. Does anybody know the command that I need to do? The database right now, it looks like, let's go to Forge. I think it uses MySQL since we're using Laravel Forge, but I'm not entirely sure. But right now, I want to figure out why I can't change my herd config. And why is bartender being annoying? The lovely joys of streaming, where you can't get things to do what you want them to do. Joy. Okay, so let's do herd. Let's see. How do I change the PHP version? PHP version. Use. That's what it is in. Change the version used by herd. Okay, so I did herd use help to see the help things. Okay, so herd use 8.3. So now PHP-V still 8.0. There we go. Come on, scroll over. Bartender? Okay. Quit bartender. Entirely. So now there's herd. Settings. There we go. Sites. Let's go to Laravel tricks. There we go. The old Laravel tricks uses 8.0. And so I must have set it to 8.0 for, and then I renamed it to old. But it's kind of annoying that in the, when I say I'm in a directory and I say herd use, I kind of wish it would change the config for that directory. But yeah, I couldn't restart herd because I couldn't get to it in the menu bar. Let's try php-v again. Okay, now we're at 8.3. Cool. Well, thank you for joining me in that silly tangent. But now we have a nice new Laravel 11 app up and running. Yay. Cool. So now let's actually open the old Laravel tricks, which let's do cd up Laravel tricks old and code open that. Okie doke. So let's look at first, when I look at an old application, I wrote a blog post about this recently. First I kind of look at the composer JSON to see if there's anything of interest. So I see we were using Bugsnag. We're using intervention image. I've never seen that before, so I kind of usually copy and paste that into the browser. Okay, what is it doing? It's an image processing library. Okay, cool. Okay, we've got the Laravel framework, we've got Laravel Nova, which we're probably not going to use for this version because I don't really think we need a backend. Slack notification channel, Socialite, Tinker, sitemap, auto presenter. I haven't seen that before. And then we have a Gravatar under it. Okay. Let's search for this. Auto presenter. This package automatically decorates objects bound to views during the view render process. Okay. I don't think we're going to need this in the new version. I do kind of want to keep things as stock Laravel as possible, but I mean, we'll see if we need it. But it's also fun to look at different code bases to see what different people use, and I always kind of really enjoy that. Let's see. Collision, PHP unit, code sniffer. Thanks. Okay. What is that? Symfony? Oh, thank another repository. That's cool. Facade ignition, Faker PHP. Cool. Okay, next. What do I do next? Usually I open up the routes file and see kind of what we're working with. We've got a trick pattern. We're redirecting the route to tricks. We have a tricks controller. Getting tricks controller show, but the trick is optional. Okay. A tricks control. Come on, Sean. I don't like using non-conventional CRUD in controllers. So I do my best to keep it to index, show, create, edit, update, and delete. And then anything that doesn't fit into that, I put it in its own controller so that it can then fit into that pattern. There are exceptions to this rule, everything. So I'm guessing Sean just was well, I don't really want to make a whole new controller for just this one little thing, so let's just put it here, which is fine. Get recent as browse.recent uses the browse controller. Okay. We've got categories. Makes sense. We've got tags so that we can see a list of posts that work with the tag. Let's actually look at the prod site and let's put in developer mode so we can see the URL up here in Arc. So right now we're at tricks. If we click on, the URL, or if we just go to, it'll redirect to tricks like we saw. If we go to categories, we get a list of all the categories. And if we click on Eloquent, we see all of the tricks that were tagged with Eloquent. Cool. But then we also have tags, which is kind of confusing to me because it's like we have a category and a tag. Aren't tags categories, or are categories tags? But like, why are they separate? That always kind of confuses me, but we'll figure it out. So then this is all of the tricks that were tagged with database, and these are all of the tricks that have a category of Eloquent. Okay. We've got a create new button that takes you to login without when you're not authenticated, it redirects you to the login, which makes sense. We've got a create new trick form, which requires a title, a description. Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We don't. The UI doesn't really tell us if it's required or not. So once we look through this page, let's look at the controller to see if what is required. So we have a title, description, trick code, tag this trick. Okay. And categories. Okay, cool. I imagine tags are like hashtags in Twitter or Instagram. Yeah, like I think so too. But I also think when adding something, it's like, okay, I've got Eloquent, but I've also got like database in tag and categories. Like, so it's just slightly like pick one or the other, maybe, because like, what's the difference between a tag and a category? But again, this is the fun with working with like old apps, because you're just like, I don't know why they did this. We can guess and we can improve it for the future and make it make more sense to us. Cool. And then you've got my tricks. So I can click in on my tricks and see this. There's 665 views. That's cool. Categories, packages, configuration. Okay, cool. I can delete it, edit it. And so now I wanted, before I get too off on a tangent, the age-old dilemma of tags versus categories, and maybe we don't need tags anymore. I think we'll probably end up picking one or the other. I still think it should be like each trick has many labels or tags or categories. I don't super care, but like, yeah, one or the other, and kind of just like combine those two, I think is probably the best. So let's go to the tricks controller and look at, okay, there's that relocate this route and method to API. Thanks, Sean. Where is the create though? Maybe that's in API. We'll see. Okay, there's nothing in API. So how do we create a trick? Like we saw the create form, user tricks create. Okay, user tricks controller. Okie doke. So then we can see all of the users, tricks. Okay, cool. And so we're passing in the tag list and the category list. Okay, so title, description, tags, categories, and code. So everything on that was required. But like, Nothing in the UI really gave us an indication that it was required. So maybe we want to like improve that for the future. It's interesting that like the title is unique. I think that makes sense. We're automatically generating a slug based on the title, which I'm guessing. Yes, I did have blue hair back in 2018 in Chicago. It's been actually my natural brown for a minute, and now I finally was like, you know what? I want colored hair again. So I bleached it, and then I think next time we'll probably add some color. But yeah, what was I doing? Create new, trick, code. All of this is required, but nothing like gives you an indication that it's required on the UI. There were errors while creating this trick, and you've got all of them up at the top. I don't love that, but I understand why it's a thing. Cool. I think one other place I kind of want to look. Oh, yeah, that's what I was looking at. I was looking at, okay, when you click on a link, you go to the slug of the title rather than the index or the ID of the trick. Okay, I think that makes sense, and that's pretty cool. Okay, so there's nothing like too interesting or unique. I think everything so far makes a lot of sense. We've got a user factory, which you have profile, you have many tricks, you have votes. What is votes? I don't think we've seen that yet. You can like it. Is a like a vote? So let's try and figure that out. What is the difference between a vote and a like? Query the votes that are casted by the user. I wonder if that's old scope that doesn't exist anymore. The error colors on the form. Yes, I also didn't like that. That they were blue instead of red. That's a stylistic choice that I probably would not have made, but we could fix it. That's kind of why we're here. Why did Tinkerwell open? I don't know. Go away. So before I got sidetracked, we were trying to figure out the difference between a vote and a like. So we saw a likes from we saw a like on the tricks controller. Okay, so let's go look at the tricks controller and look at that like a little more in depth. So trick votes where user ID. Okay, so a vote and a like are the same thing. Okay, I'm guessing this changed 4 years ago. Like I'm wondering or thinking potentially in the past there was like a up vote similar to Reddit or Product Hunt where you can upvote things. Oh, thank you. I'm guessing votes were kind of like up links in Product Hunt or Reddit, and then at some point they were renamed to likes. I think we could either keep likes or bring back, yeah. I definitely think they renamed the whole thing from votes to likes. And I usually when I do that kind of change, I like to change everything to match, but I also understand that like when you have a time constraint or you're not working on something all the time, it happens. You rename something in one spot and you just know that that's what that is. So there's this vote cache. That's interesting. What is the vote cache? Let's take a look at the database to look at the tricks table. Nope, I don't want to make a new file there. We have engine InnoDB. Interesting. I don't know if I've ever done that. Okay, so we have an integer for the view cache or the vote cache. Okay, I think that makes sense. So rather than like figuring out that state on the fly, you just save it to the database so that it's easily queryable. Definitely could be done in Redis, but honestly, I actually really like this in the database. It's a really smart way to do it that's not overcomplicated. Yeah, I agree, Santiago. It's a clever way to do this. So let's go back to that tricks controller where we were liking. Votes became likes. Cool. If you haven't voted in the past, attach a vote for this user. Otherwise, detach it. So essentially a toggle. Yeah, I kind of like this because it ties it to, I could see this on my profile later more than just an upvote. Yeah, I do like that too. I know like upvotes are cool for like sorting algorithms, but like, I don't know. I kind of just like I like this. It's more like a bookmark or a group. Like if it's highly liked, then you could be like, okay, other people like this, so other people kind of recommend this trick. And I think that's a useful kind of metric, more so than what's ranking highest at that moment in time. So yeah. How are we doing on time? It is 10:30 on the button. Cool. So, I want to make some notes. Let's go to the README. Delete all this. Make a Laravel tricks. Okay. We want to keep likes over notes. Make validation, on creating tricks more obvious. Wow, I can't spell. There we go. And we want to make validation errors red. So far, everything else, like, I want to keep the GitHub login. Login. Because I think that's an easy way to log in. Unless anybody has a strong preference for not doing a GitHub login. overall, like, the UI is fine. Like, I think um it's clean, it's to the point. I might want to modernize it ish. Like, I'll probably ask Noemi, the designer at Titan, to take a once over and be like, hey, do you have any suggestions for making this more modern or more in line with the Titan brand? But yeah, cool. Thanks, Jake. I'm glad you agree that a GitHub login for this site is perfect. Cool. Do. Cool. Were there any other notes that I wanted to make? We're going to keep the, well, let's see, models. We want user, tricks. There was that votes table. What does that look like? Yeah. This is honestly what me, like, familiarizing myself with a project looks like. It's literally like, oh, this is of interest to me. Let me go take a look at it. And just trying to figure out how things work and, like, poke the browser a little bit and then go to the code and poke that a little bit and back and forth and back and forth. So yeah, okay, we have a tags table, which is just name slug user ID. That's interesting. So like the user ID that was like created the tag. Yeah. Name slug description. Okay, so you have a description of the categories, but you don't have a description of the tag. Interesting. We've got a votes table, which looks like, okay, it's just a pivot table. It's a named pivot table. So instead of using trick_user, they called it votes. And I think for us, we'll probably call it likes instead of votes. How does the site make sure two identical slugs aren't created? In the user tricks controller, we saw that the title has a unique part of it. So it says, within the tricks table, look at the title column and ensure that this title is unique. And I'm guessing on edit, it ensures the same thing. Yeah. Yes, I love making a markdown, like a file to-do list, because otherwise my brain just spits it out at the next possible moment. So, and I totally forget about it. So we were talking about trick_user being called likes instead of votes, because then with a named pivot table, I think that's the term for it, you can make a model for it, which they didn't end up doing, but that's fine. But I do like having it being called likes, like the table being called likes. I think that makes a lot of sense. So let's add likes model / tables. Likes trick_user pivot table to be determined if model necessary. And again, I can't spell. Yeah, I'll fix that later. You're welcome, Mary, for explaining. Quick fix. Thank you. So we've got a user table, a tricks table, a likes table, Now, what are the other models we have? Profile. So the profile is just attached to a user. I'm guessing this is like more information about the user. Okay. Username, name, email, first name, last name, location, description, image, URL, access token, secret. Hmm. I don't know. Like sometimes it's nice to keep this stuff separate from a user, and sometimes it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I think we make a note of it and we just kind of say we'll figure out what let's see. Let's add this under user. File details. Keep on own model or put on user. In general, I'm kind of inclined to do away with the profile page. Let's kind of look at it and see. So if you click on my trick, joined 1 year ago, last trick 2 weeks ago, settings, password, okay, back to profile, that doesn't do anything. But yeah, I think having a page like this, I was checking the unique rule in the DB and it doesn't say anything about being case insensitive. Maybe you want to check that? Yeah, probably. Case insensitive. Let's make a note of that. Does user profile take a performance thing, so when request offloads, it doesn't load extra data? Yeah, I'm guessing it's just so it doesn't load extra data, and that makes sense. But also, I don't know if we need a whole profile page. Like, I'm more inclined to link to my Pinkary, which has all my links to all my other things, so that I don't have to remember to update my information in another place. I'm kind of more in favor of keeping it simple, like allowing a link and maybe a description. And then if it's only 1 or 2 things that we're adding to the user, I don't feel so bad about just adding it to the user class or the user table. Title. So I'm going to make a note, Santiago, about like title, case, sensitivity. So we don't forget about it for later. Because, yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, the title case doesn't super matter, at least in my brain right now. Because, okay, this unique, oh no, it would matter. Really, I don't care if the title is unique. I more so care that the slug is unique. So, yeah. But yeah, we made a note of it. We'll come back to that later. Because we're not building the form right now. I'm just like taking a look at the old version, just to see. But yeah, I think that is definitely a thing that we need to remember to take a look at. So we've got tables, we have a profile maybe. Let's see, what else do we have? We have categories, tags. What is this Titan model? Okay, so it's a model to route notifications for Slack. Interesting. I don't know if I would have put that in a model, but I understand that you actually need to route notifications for Slack. You need a notifiable. And a notifiable usually is a model. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I'm guessing this is for, yeah, we get Slack notifications in the Titan Slack when a new post happens, so that we can hypothetically moderate and like delete things that aren't good. I typically use a form request before validation to create the slug and verify it's unique. Huh. I don't use form requests a lot unless it's a really gnarly validation, but I think this could be a useful use case for it because, yeah, we kind of want to, we could create the slug and validate that it's unique before. Let's keep that in mind. So we have a Titan model for Slack. We've got a trick model. We've got tags and categories. And we've got a user model. Okay, cool. So let's keep tags or categories, not both. I've also in the past used Spassie's, because Santiago mentioned the Spassie data package. I really like the Spassie slug, Laravel slug, sluggable. I've used this in the past and I've really enjoyed working with it. Laravel Tricks is on 8, but we're looking at the old code so that we can rewrite it in 11, because I don't think anybody wants to watch me upgrade from Laravel 8 to 9 to 10 till 11. So we're going to learn what we want from the old application and carry it forward to the new application and put our own spin on it. So yeah, in the past I've used the Spassie's Laravel sluggable package, which I do like because when you don't have a, when something isn't unique, it actually handles, concatenating like -1 on the end. So you're able to save continually. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Spassie sluggable is great if you're likely to see collisions because it auto increments. But can't talk on a stream. That's okay. I guess I'll have to like cut it up later and just have a blooper reel of all of my silly flubs. So, yeah. Cool. So, we've got a to-do list, a user, profile details, keep an own model, or put it on the user. Potentially tidy up to only a URL and bio. Because I don't think we really need anything more than that. Tricks, we want to make sure that title cases matter, and potentially use form requests or package to ensure uniqueness of slugs. We have a likes table, which is a trick user, tags or categories, not both. Cool. This is exciting. Okay. I feel like this is a good stopping point, but we still have 15 minutes. So, do we want to call it quits here today and see y'all next week for starting to implement these tables? Or we can start on that now and I could finish it up after the call or after the stream. Put your votes in the chat. Keep going or wrap it up. I should have a sound that plays like the Jeopardy theme when I'm waiting. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Keep going. Cool. So, let's start with the user table, I guess. I did make a new Laravel 11 project. I did start with that, Jake. You just weren't here for that. So I've got two repositories up. I've got the Laravel Tricks Old and the Laravel Tricks New. And the Laravel Tricks New is where I've been making these notes. Keep it rolling. Got it. What is the ultimate goal with the site? The goal with the site is to update this so that it's not on Laravel 11, and to make it used again, so that like we're getting new, more posts and more things. So I don't know. I like the idea of the community sharing like the tips and tricks that they've learned along the way and like collecting, oh, I want this thing for this context or this thing for this context. We actually have internally at Titan a tool called RAM, which is pretty similar to this in a lot of ways, where it's super helpful to just have a list of all of the tips and tricks people have learned over the years, so that when you come across a specific issue, you can go search for it and see if somebody else has come across it in the past. And like, you could argue that, oh great, another place to go look for that kind of content. But I also kind of thought it would be cool that if like I see somebody post something on Twitter or X or Threads or whatever, hey Mateus, yes, I was thinking exactly. I was thinking it would be cool if you post it here and then you get a quick and easy way to share it in other places. I think that would be super helpful. Yeah, I think we could check indexes on the DB to optimize stuff there for SAM or for search. So yeah, that is the ultimate goal, I guess, is just to make it more useful and used, but also along the way, like, share the progress with it. Yeah, and just have, more community involvement in this project. And also, I like streaming, and I want to do it, and I want to have an excuse to do it, and so here's my excuse. So that's kind of the point. I'll stubbornly call it Twitter until I die. Yeah, I'm mostly in that camp, and also hate dead naming things, but I don't know if you can dead name an inanimate object or a site. I don't know. So yeah. One thing it would be nice to add now that we're doing Laravel 11 update some kind of way aside from tags to specify that something is applicable to a certain version level and higher. Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. See, like, that makes sense. Like, distinguishing what version it's for, or like what version was. We could have a, like, when this post was created, Laravel 11 was prominent, but also you could be working on an old code base, so it might be more helpful to have a list of Laravel versions in which this applies. But I think that could just also be a tag, because it's like, okay, if we have tricks here that are both for filament and inertia, like, do you also tag the filament version or the inertia version or the view version? Like, how far are we going with tagging versions? Yeah, but potentially add way to tag versions. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking taggable type interface, similar to what we've got here, where you can click patterns and repository and 4 and 3. Oh boy, that's how old this is. We're talking about Laravel 3. Has anybody on this stream used Laravel 3? I have not. I started in 4.2. A separate tag picker for major versions or any Laravel version. Yeah, maybe. Cool. Aaron Francis, if you're on the call, I'm sorry, I'm having a Diet Coke. Yeah. Laravel 3, yes. Because you'd usually assume, except like 4.2 or ancient code base, that it works on 10, it should work on 11, 12, whatever. So yeah, I mean, also, we don't have to figure this all out right now. That's the one thing I love about coding, is you can be like, you know what? I'm going to figure that out later. I don't want to devote brain space to it right now. And I think a lot of times, like, what makes most sense evolves as you're working on it. I like having a high level ideas or plan, but then not getting too in the weeds of solutions. So that's why I'm like, potentially do this, potentially do that. I'm not saying we are going to do this. We'll figure it out as we go along. Potentially add a way to tag versions. Maybe different. Select. Okay, here's a thought. Maybe you could tag technologies. And then in that technologies drop down, you could have Laravel 10, Laravel 5, Vue 2, Vue 3, Laravel 2, or Livewire 2, 3, etc., etc. So maybe, or technologies. TBD. To be determined. Okie doke. So, because we set it up with Breeze, we already have a user migration with name, email verified at password. Okie doke. I don't super have a reason to split name between like first name and last name. I think name is just fine. Email, don't want to sidetrack you, but you typed it, so of course it's going to sidetrack me. There is a site I use a lot for iOS shortcut sharing called Routine Hub. Sharing a shortcut, you pick a category, required apps, and specify an iOS version. Ooh. Let's take a look at that and see if we can glean any inspiration from that. I love getting inspiration from other sites. Especially ones that aren't like Laravel focused. Okay, so you've got Shazam, Music Services, and Save. It's got a description. It's got a version. I'm guessing this is the version of the like root shortcut. iOS 17 updated categories. I like this. This is cool. Required apps shortcut. Thanks for the tidbit, Jake. That is actually super helpful. Ticketing made easy. Enter events just by scanning QR code. Needs actions. Okay. This is cool. Introducing Cherrylang, a programming language designed specifically for Apple shortcuts. Okie doke. That is totally off topic, but I don't know. Actually, I don't want to. I want to save this. Save current tabs with tags, dev, inspiration, Laravel tricks. Will it let me? Nope. I don't want to tag it 3D printing. Laravel tricks. So me saving that link, for anybody who's curious, I was saving it with AnyBox. It's an app that Andrew Morgan put me onto. But yeah, thanks for obliging my sidetrack. Yeah, it was very useful, and I think we should come back to it later. So users table, name, email. I think we should add a table string URL nullable. Man, I need to turn off the floaty thing because that's annoying. Table, well, let's do text for bio, nullable, and again, can't type. Cool. So I think that's pretty good for starters for a users table. Let's next make a migration. PA make, let's do migration, make migration. We want to say create tricks table. Will this migration create a table? Yes, please. What is the name of the table? Tricks. Cool. It made it successfully. Are you using Vim? No, I am not. I am not smart enough for Vim. That was a an extension. X. What was it? Laravel Artisan extension. Copy. Will that work? Bam. Maybe. Go. Too long for chat. There we go. Cool. So that made a file, create tricks table, clear out this crap. I personally don't believe in down migrations, but since it's technically, I don't know, rolling back never works well. And so I kind of am like, why bother writing it down migration? Fine, I'll keep it. Table, we want a string for title. Do we want to add uniqueness at a database level? I don't know. A table, string, slug. Let's see, let's look at this. Create tricks table. Interesting, 140. Okay, so they add the uniqueness not on the title but on the string. They're useful for individual deployments only, but still useful. Y'all are mad. Well, okay. Slug, unique. We'll leave it there for now. And I may or may not delete it later. We want the code. Text description. Yeah, that's useful to be like, this is what this is useful for. I don't think we need the default null when it's already nullable. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And then, yeah, we want the foreign key. But let's do it the new Laravel way, which remove it when Jake's not watching. Oh boy. Let's see. Laravel.com. Foreign keys is one of those things where I always need to look it up. I always need to look up how to do it. So you can do unsigned big integer with the foreign references on user. But there's also this, this is nice. I like this better. Let's do that. I tend to like foreign keys up first. Just because like when I'm looking in Table Plus, I can click and go around. Jake would definitely find out because this repo is public, and so he could just go look at it whenever he wants. And after each stream, I'm going to commit what we worked on and publish it. So you can see progress over time. And I'm also thinking about doing like recap videos. So like taking the stream, chopping it up into a more digestible bit. So if you miss a stream, you can just watch the previously on rather than watching the whole stream, because nobody got time for that after the fact. Cool. So we added the foreign key for the user. Never bind them to a model class, even though it seems cool, because if you ever rename the model, you're effed. Yep. You can do table, foreign ID 4, and then you can pass in like user model. And I think user model might be the only case where how many apps do you know of where you've renamed the user class? I can think on one hand how many apps I've seen where they renamed the user class. But for everything else, okay, like think about it. If we had a votes model and we renamed it to likes, now this foreign ID wouldn't work. As long as you define the table name on the model. I guess, yeah, but what if you also change the table name? So like, yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to keep it foreign ID, user ID constrained. We can debate the merits of foreign ID for model. I like it. It's clean. This will not bite you in the butt later. So 50-50 on the other one. Cool. So we've got a trick. The trick has a user. It's got a title, a slug, a description. It's got code. We've got the view cache and the vote cache in the database, which I still think is a really cool way to have that count. So let's keep it. Except we're going to change vote cache to like cache. And I do actually think we should default it to 0 because, yeah. Foreign ID versus unsigned ints, no constraints. I don't know. Yeah, this is old way, new way. I don't know. I like it. Okay. Again. Okay. Jake, I'm sorry. We're getting rid of drops. Because, no. If Matt wants to yell at me later, he can. Cache. Bye-bye comments. Bye-bye downs. Create tricks. Okay. Jobs. Cache. Bye-bye comments. Bye-bye downs. Bye comments. And yes, I could publish the stubs, so I don't have to do that every time. But, Jake, you can tattle on me to Matt, and Matt can tell me I'm wrong. Stauffer probably has an old blog post saying that down methods are dumb. I don't want to tangent onto that. Okay, so we created the users table. We created the tricks table. Laravel 11 comes with a cache table. Did that always exist? And then the jobs table, I think that's been around for a bit. Let's see, what other tables do we have here? We have tags, categories, votes, tag trick table. What is that? We have, okay, so that's just a pivot table. Okay. Category trick table, that's another pivot table. Create profiles table, add order to category table. Yeah, I don't super care about having an order. I'll post a poll in Slack, so Titan folks. No, you should post it on Twitter, too, so that other people that don't work at Titan can vote, too. Cool. So let's do. We have a tag, slug. I don't think we need a user ID for a slug or for a tag. We still need to decide on the version thing, but I think it's fair to be like we will have tags or categories. Personally, let's stick with tags. I kind of like that better. So let's go back to the other code base. Let's do PA make migration. And I love how I've gone way past 11. So let's finish up these migrations and then we'll call it quits for today. So create tags table. Yes, it will create a table. What is the name of the table? Tags. Okay. Create tags table. And goodbye. Okay, so we have tag. It should have table. Oof. Okay. Here's another thing that I always sometimes come across. Quitter? Marcy, come on. I'm not going to do this all in one day. So, the old app, if we look at the tricks table, it has a title column, and the tags has a name column. And I'm OCD, and I hate the inconsistency. So, let's see. Should a tag have a title, or should a trick have a name? Because we're picking one or the other. Since user has name, I think we should stick with name. So let's change our tricks table to do name instead of title. Tags should have a name. Tags should also have a slug, but I don't think we care to have a user ID attached to the null or attached to the tag. Nah, that's fine. So users, tricks, tags, and you know what? I think that's enough to get us going. I don't usually always, like, if I'm starting an app out from scratch with no previous anything, I don't always just like start with the migrations. Like sometimes I'll start with the login or the like kind of work in a more of a TDD-ish approach where like I'll do stuff in the browser, then I'll do stuff in controllers and tests and kind of just bounce around back and forth. But in this case, since we have the existing application, I feel more comfortable just like, okay, let's spit out a bunch of migrations. Because we know more or less what the scope of the application is. So, yeah. Next time, I think we will probably set up signing in with GitHub because that's going to be necessary. And I'd rather get it out of the way sooner rather than later. So, yeah. I think that's it for today, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for staying on later. But, yeah. Cool. I hope y'all had fun, learned stuff, and enjoyed my rambling. So, yeah.